So we can start with the drums over here, and the drums are actually pretty simple. All they're doing is just playing a simple beat, just a kick and a snare basically. So they sound like this. So yeah, one thing that you might notice is that there's quite a lot of saturation on the kicks here, but basically I'm using this plugin. It's a Cymatics one. It's called Diablo Light. It basically like saturates your drums, so basically you can like run it through a soft or a hard clipper and add like punch and stuff. So if I were to solo the kicks here, like you can definitely hear there's a lot of punch and stuff going on. Like if I turn it off, like there's like a massive difference in the sound, so that's really good to get that punchy sort of kick. And then another thing that you realize is that these snares have like a bit of reverb on them. But yeah, so this snare sounds like this. Bit of reverb, this Valhalla Supermassive plugin. Another free plugin as well, really good reverb plugin. You can do lots of delays and stuff with it as well, but I just mainly use it for reverb. It's a really good plugin. Alright, so moving on here, we have the main super saw stacks and the main drop, so they sound like this. Everything I have is pitched down, by the way, so this is the actual MIDI for it. As you can see, it's like nice big chords going on, and the actual patch for it looks like this. So it's a detuned saw wave and a detuned square wave, 9 and 8 voices running through a filter, a little bit of an attack, some noise here, and then no effects, so it's just pretty simple super saw. I found that having square waves mixed with saw waves is a really good way to make a really rich super saw, because instead of having two just standard saw waves phasing in and out of each other, you can mix it up a bit and have a few more harmonics. Basically, I ran it through a decapitator, just some saturation here. You can use any saturation plugin, just brighten it up a bit. And then some OTT and EQ just to cut the lows around 100 Hz. Now we'll move on to the saw lead, which sounds like this. Yeah, real reverbed out saw lead here with this envelope shape. It's like real high decay and slow attack, some white noise going through, another square wave, and just like, yeah, a shit ton of reverb just going on here. Real distorted as well. Like you'll see here, I put another decapitator on it just to distort it. Cut the lows here. I don't know why this auto filter is on here, we can get rid of that. So next up we have this white noise pad, which is quite an interesting sound actually. So it sounds like this. This is a preset called Air Pluck, I think. Yeah, well, obviously. It's just some white noise, I think, going through. Soft sparkle noise, I guess. Going through like a sine wave and a square wave pad underneath, which is actually like a really nice sound just in general. Quite a lot of effects going on here. Figured out that it was like a pretty good layer for the actual stack. So yeah, these are all the effects, and then obviously some reverb to wash it out a bit. Just always sounds nice with some reverb. Next up we have the screech lead. That's like sort of actually the main thing that you're hearing in the entire drop basically, which sounds like this. This is all bounced to audio because this would actually like kill my CPU if I were to play it normally, but I saved a similar patch here. So this is what the actual patch is, pretty similar anyway. So it's just distorted square and saw waves again. Yeah, some distortion, some chorus running through it on Serum. I have 2 decapitators on here, which is quite funny. I think I just duplicated these to make it more distorted, cut the lows, and then added some reverb at the end. And one thing about this MIDI you'll notice is that I've chopped it up to make really tiny phrases to make it like glitchy and just whacked out, which sounds pretty cool. And moving on, we have the basses here, which sound altogether like this. Just a pretty standard detuned saw waves, you can see here, with some distortion running through a low pass filter, cutting off around 500 Hz ish. Bit of EQ to get rid of this area, which is kind of always annoying on free spaces. Yeah, then after that we have a pretty simple sub. You notice that I pitched these all down a little bit to fit the key, like the actual track that I was playing in. So this is basically just a sine wave with a saw wave on a low level, and basically all those harmonics are being crushed into the sine wave here. If I had to take out the actual saw wave, then you'll hear quite a big difference. So it just adds those little bit of harmonics, added some distortion as well. But yeah, it's basically that for the sub bass. And yeah, so this final sort of effect I have is just a singular ambient note that I have that I found on a vocal pack, I think, which sounds like this. Yeah, this is actually just playing a single note. As you can hear, if I take it out, then it just lacks that little bit of top end. Yeah, I always like to have just that singular high note and have a bit more top end. Yeah, what I've done is I just ran it through a decapitator, some distortion, and then cut the lows. Add some reverb again. I've added quite a lot of reverb actually. But yeah, so that's pretty much the basis to like a decent drop stack. Mainly I have the actual super saw, then I have saw lead, and then the actual screecher lead, which is sort of the three main things that I like to have in my drops, and obviously some like risers, some down sweepers. And especially about the basses, one thing that I forgot to mention was usually I would only have one bass, which is literally just a sub, but really I'd add like another bass on top, because I think that the more basses you add, the more clashy it gets in the low end, and I like to keep it sort of tidy low end just because it's easier to mix. It sounds cleaner. But I decided that I could probably mix in a respace in there just to make it a bit more powerful on the low end. But yeah, so that's basically all there is in that video. Also, I've noticed that 80% of you that are watching my videos aren't actually subscribed to my YouTube channel. So surely just subscribe, right? Like, if you're watching my videos, then you might as well just subscribe. So surely. Yeah.